Okay, we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is the January 23rd, 2025 Saratoga Springs Planning Commission meeting. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Commissioner Wilden will lead us in that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and for roll call, it looks like we've got everyone here tonight. So thank you for being here. And we will go ahead and start with public input. Time has been set aside for the public to express ideas, concerns, and comments for subject matter not listed as a public hearing on the agenda. Please be respectful of your comments. Please avoid repetitive comments. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. If you're here for public hearing, please hold your comments until then. Is there anyone here for public input? Okay, we will close public input and we will move on to business item number 1, Saratoga Springs Center Lot 305 site plan located at 1509 North Redwood Road. Austin Cooper is the applicant and senior planner Jellin? David Jellin, thank you.
Not a problem, thank you. Our applicant this evening was not able to make it. His representative, Josh Moffitt, is here in his, if you want to take a seat, you can, and is available for any questions following my presentation, as will I be. So, as mentioned, this is a site plan for Saratoga Town Center, Lot 305. It's located at the northwest of the intersection of Crossroads Boulevard and Commerce Drive, just north of us here. This site plan is part of the regional commercial zone. They are proposing a approximately 45,000 square foot building on that lot with associated parking and landscaping as shown on the site plan and on the landscape plan, which I'll show you here in a minute. This building is comprised of 10 units, 10 suites, ranging in size from just under 3,000 square feet to just under 9,000 square feet. The applicant has said the main tenant that they are pursuing at this time is a gymnastics studio. And so parking, as shown, is proposed at 4 spaces per 1,000 square feet. They do meet that and are proposing, I think it's just a couple of spaces above that requirement. Moving over to the landscape plan, they are proposing landscaping in conformance with our code. You can see that here for reference. Going to the elevations also comply with code as shown. They're using a mix of materials as well as articulation, both horizontal and vertical. The elevations, as shown here, are a little flat. That north elevation on that left side, as you're seeing it, does step back. And I believe I included the floor plan in your packets so that you could see that. But if not, you can see that here, how that articulation in the building steps as it progresses. And so there you have the north elevation and the east elevation, as well as the south elevation and the west elevation there for your reference. As stated, they are fully complying with code. There were a couple of things that were marked as shall comply in my checklist, mostly related to items that will either be accomplished this evening, like this public meeting, or at the time of building inspection, like with the addressing on the building. With that, I'm available for any questions. As stated, the applicant's representative is here this evening as well, if you have any questions for him.
Great, thank you. And would the applicant's representative like to add anything tonight? If so, please state your name and address for the record.
Josh Moffitt, located at 966 West State Road, Lee, 84043. Nothing to add to that. David's presented.
Okay, great. And we will go ahead and open this up for commission comments. And we've got Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, David, for your great write-up. It was very thorough. You know, as you'd mentioned, we're looking at 3.19 acres. The question I have of the applicant, Josh, you talked about a gymnastic, maybe a trampoline facility. Does the individual that is doing that, do they have any other facilities so they know what the traffic pattern and kind of how that would mix in there? Or is this, you know, you're developing it and then you've had somebody come in with interest for that gymnastic studio?
So to answer your question, we were speccing it and they came in as we were doing that. So we haven't really tailored anything to what they needed. We just had the requirements from what the city set forward and it worked for them.
Okay. Again, very clean. It fits within the parameters of the zoning and the regional commercial area. Again, David, as you mentioned, they will, the policy would be 184 parking spots, and they're providing 192. It complies with height. It looks, and as I looked at the buildings and the landscaping, it looks like it's going to fit very well within that area. So again, I commend you for a good job as you're getting down to the site plan and knowing a little more where you're headed. So, Chairwoman, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you for those comments. Commissioner Mile.
Thank you. I just had a question in the packet, and this might be more tailored for our city staff. It talks about the community review public meeting that was held a notice. I'm just curious what the requirements are for that. It says it meets the city and state statutes, but is that just a notice that's mailed to residents? I often hear, you know, in my own community of something like this happened, but I wasn't made aware of it. I'm just curious what the requirements are for that.
Yes, I can speak to that. Distinction there, one of which is the neighborhood meeting, which the applicant is required to hold with the surrounding community. That is typically done as mailers that they go out and they send to, and I apologize, I don't know what the buffer requirement is, but everyone who falls within that, they're required to notify and hold a public meeting with them, show them the site plan, and kind of take comments. And that was included in the packet. I can't remember, it was 2 or 3 people who maybe showed up to the meeting that they held. And our code outlines they have to have that meeting and give sufficient notice so that they can, so that people have time to make it on their schedule. As far as the public meeting goes and those requirements, that's fulfilled this evening with the agenda being posted and the packet being posted, and would have fulfilled state requirements. And Ruling can correct me if I've said anything incorrect there, but. Great. It's within 300 feet. 300 feet is the,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gina.
It's within 300 feet. Is it just residential residents who have to be notified, or also the commercial and industrial?
It's any property, it's the residential zone, so it's within 300 feet of the property to the residential zone. So it's the residences, but I believe it would have been the entirety of the property is usually who gets noticed. Commercial businesses, it's not for the benefit of the adjacent commercial businesses, it's for the benefit of the residents. Okay. And in this particular case, as the applicant has been challenged before with a rezone previously, that community was very involved with them. So they did their requirement of that neighborhood plan for that community, that residential community, because of the proximity of that commercial business.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so any other questions or comments on this item? All right, I will now entertain a motion.
I move that the Planning Commission forward a recommendation for approval of the requested site plan for Saratoga Town Center Lot 305, located northwest of the intersection of Crossroads Boulevard and Commerce Drive, with the findings and conditions in the staff report.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Hill. Do we have a second?
Second that.
And we have a second from Commissioner Mangum. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, we'll now take a vote. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? And it looks like that passes. Okay, thank you. And we'll move on to our second business item tonight, Saratoga Springs Commercial Plot G, located at Crossroads Boulevard and 1400 North. Thomas Lenhart as applicant and Senior Planner Gina Grand Prix.
Commissioners, this thing is finicky. We do have the applicant here. Mr. Lenhart and Mr. Mendenhall are both here with WPI. You gentlemen want to come on up? So this is the Plat G of Saratoga Springs Commercial. It is in the regional commercial zone. It is, I put southeast intersection of Crossroads Boulevard and Pioneer Crossing. It's also west of the liquor store and Tractor Supply to that intersection. So as you can see, and if you remember, it was rezoned and a general plan amendment back a few months ago from to regional commercial and mixed or multifamily 14, so MF 14, which means a maximum of 14 units per acre on that lot. Let's see. So with the preliminary plat, this is going to be 16 lots, and it will have one particular lot, as you noticed in the staff report, lot 715, is slated for a private utility. That standard is less than in Title 1905. It can't, because it is a private utility building or facility, has different standards. And so I did, as you noticed in the staff report, in the plan review checklist, there are some highlighted shall complies. There is a note on the plat that states that if this lot does not get put in as a private utility, public utility, then they'll go through the proper channels to make it a conforming lot for the regional commercial zone. So there is open space on that 30 feet. This is kind of a unique mixed use type subdivision because we have that multifamily element in this subdivision. So open space for the commercial portion is not open space, it's landscaping of 20%. The residential will require a 15% open space, but with that comes the open space code, meaning there has to be, so with every 40 units, there has to be 1 acre of equivalent park. Now, that will come back as a site plan or possibly further platting for that residential portion. So this is the layout of the subdivision. The 715 is down there on the north or on the southeast. But you have where the canal is, you can see that kind of long line. That canal they're going to be burying. With the rezone, they had stipulations that a portion of that needed to be buried with with certain phases of the development. And so they are complying with that. The landscaping, so you've got a big lot for a big box store, and then you have the additional lots there along the frontage of Crossroads Boulevard. There is a 30-foot buffer, not buffer, but a 30-foot easement. It's a trail easement from the Crossroads 30 feet in. It's usually, is it back of sidewalk? Is it, or not back of sidewalk? It's like front of the sidewalk along Crossroads Boulevard. So they have included the landscaping for that portion as well as the land in the roundabout and the detention basin. So that adds up to 20%, actually I think a little bit more than 20%. So it does meet that. They will have additional landscaping required by each site. So they will be over and above the landscape requirements for that. Just to give you an idea of what the landscaping along Crossroads Boulevard will look like. And then they are, let me go back here, they are putting in a light there at 14, where the roundabout is, as it goes out to Crossroads, they are putting a light there with the proper striping, acceleration, deceleration lanes, turn lanes, etc. With that, I am here for any questions that you might have. The applicant is here to answer any as well.
Okay, let's go ahead and hear from the applicant. If you want to state your name and address for the record.
Stay sitting down. I don't need to stand up and take the podium. Richard Mendenhall with WPI Enterprises, we're a developer. And address is 5457 West, 11,000 North, Highland, Utah. And do you have any questions on this plat? I don't know. I don't want to bore you with details you're not concerned about.
This is just a time for you to add anything to the presentation we've so far.
Okay, so far, we don't have anything to add. It's a pretty straightforward subdivision plat. We've worked with staff extensively on the land use and design here. There is one comment that has showed up in staff notes, item number 15. It says, developer shall install a raised median in Crossroad Boulevard extending 150 feet both directions to restrict through and left turn motions from Spring Creek Road and 400 West. It's our understanding that the traffic studies show that with the signal at 1400 North, is it? Mm-hmm. And at Exchange, the traffic breaks with those lights in segments in a way that lefts were being allowed there. We do meet the distance requirement between those lights for left motions. And this is news to us tonight that that's a restriction, and it's a restriction that will be unacceptable to the primary tenant of this location. So I just want to make a note of that. We're not aware of why that's been added as a note, a recommendation.
And that is in the engineer staff report. So Scott should be able to answer to that.
Yep, excuse me. The city engineer was looking at the plans and he did mention that we do not want a full movement at the 400. We had what was the other? The south access was already showing a median based off of discussions, but Jeremy wanted to add the no left turn movements on the 400 just because of the traffic volumes on Crossroads Boulevard, and it won't be signalized in the future.
Yeah, we'll have to consult our traffic engineers and see what they say. We just want to make that as a note that that's a provision that just doesn't, it will kill the business deal with the primary tenant who's going to occupy the property. They have to have a left in and out.
Okay. Before we'll open this to commissioner comments, and I'll actually ask a couple of comments to clarify a few things before we go further. We saw this application come through like in December.
As the rezone general plan amendment, correct.
Okay. And then it went to city council and
was approved.
Okay.
Correct.
And I think I'd seen quite a few comments on like social media from citizens around that time. What was did any citizens?
We didn't have any public comments for this particular subdivision at that time.
Okay.
So there may have been comments on social media, but we didn't have anybody email in or actually show up for the public hearing.
Okay. Okay, that's it for me at this time, and I will open it up to any other commission members. And it looks like we have Commissioner Mancom. I'm sorry.
So much. Appreciate you taking the time to do this, and we very much appreciate the improvement of Saratoga Springs. I had a question about well, two questions now. The first one is regarding the size of the lot and how it says that it's not meeting the 30,000 square feet, and so it's going to, if somebody else comes along that's not a utility company, that they will have to continue to be subject to all the requirements. So do we just make an exception that we just note that it's smaller, and whoever else comes along will be okay that it's smaller?
No, it is actually one of the conditions that if it does not go to a public utility, public or private utility, then they would need to come back with a plat amendment in order to revise that back to however that meets the code. So it's only like 4,000, 3,000 something square feet off. I mean, but yeah, they would have to come back for a plat amendment. And that's why we put that condition in there.
Yeah, thank you. And then second, if we approve this tonight, and I didn't quite understand fully what you were saying about the street and how a turn, it sounds like you said that a turn lane will ruin the business deal.
Traffic standards require a certain distance between left motions on Crossroads Boulevard. I believe it's like 600 feet. This meets those standards both from the new light 1400 and the light from the exchange. And so this is a new criteria that seems to be contrary to the city transportation design guidelines and is inconsistent with the traffic engineer reports that we've delivered to the city. So, whether it's kind of a spontaneous reaction to something we thought we need to talk through and work on, but if that's a condition, this will cause the plat to fail because there's no need platting something that we don't have a user for. Have to have a record for the user occupancy of that property.
So
We've understood that to be the case all along. And that's why we spent the money on this.
yeah. So the question then is, if we approve this as is, as this is here now in front of us, is it requiring the item that will kill his deal?
Currently, the engineer staff report does require that the medium be placed in Crossroad, and he's saying that would be the killer of the project.
Yeah, we have not had that conversation with staff. This is news on the comments tonight. So
Gotcha.
It's kind of, I don't know how many meetings and how many reviews. How long have we been working on site plan and design here?
So one solution to this is you can make a condition that staff work with the applicant to resolve the issue and before it goes to city council, or
Or withdraw the application.
or they'll withdraw the application. So that's one way to move forward with your either positive or negative recommendation.
Staff work with the applicant to resolve the issue. Thank you.
Correct.
That's my questions. Thank you so much.
I guess I should ask Scott if that's okay.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. We can work with them. It's going to be discussions with the city engineer, but that's not a problem.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for those comments. And next we have Commissioner Karn.
Yeah, I had a couple questions and comments. The first was on the open space requirement. I think I saw in one of the drawings a detention pond. Is that part of meeting the open space requirement?
Okay. This thing is finicky. I can move it one way and you don't hear me. Open space requirement is required for the residential portion. So this lot, I can't see. What is it? 713. That is your multifamily lot. So they are required to have 15% open space. When it says 20%, that's 20% landscaping. So commercial, our requirement is that commercial businesses have 20% landscaping. It's not considered open space because our open space is reserved for our residential, but our landscaping requirement is a 20% landscaping of the overall project. That detention basin is covering all of the lots except for that residential portion. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so
So-
it's providing adequate drainage capacity for the commercial lot.
For all of it, is my understanding. They've built that to hold capacity for the residential portion as well. So it's going to be big enough to satisfy the entire subdivision. It has to for it to pass preliminary plat. But the residential portion will have to provide their own open space. And they have that designed along the canal, because the canal right now, as it sits, is an open canal. They plan on piping it and then putting a trail along there, which is required by our code to have a canal trail.
Okay, great. And then the second question I have is I think it's lot 715 for the public utility. Can you just tell me what that is typically to be? Is that like a cell tower?
So you
or-
can, I mean, they can answer, yeah, go ahead.
The fiber optic network in your city, they need a booster station to enhance their signal. And they're very specific in terms of some of the location distances that they have to have. This happens to land in that area. So the lot that we're talking about is lot number
715.
715. And what happens is we'll have access from Exchange to that, right, by way of easement over the front lot. The front lot is still about 40,000 square feet, right?
It means.
And so it's a good size commercial lot. It's a normal size. If for some reason the utility use doesn't proceed to conclusion, we would just do a lot line adjustment and make that one big lot.
Yeah, okay.
So that's
Combine 715 with the one on the right?
Correct.
Yeah, on
okay.
Exchange. So it would just be part of the lot that fronts like the liquor store to the, right? So we're trying to make an accommodation because this is a need they had, and we're saying, great, we're happy to, to try to help the community on whole. It leaves us with a usable remainder. But if for some reason that isn't used for utility purposes, and our expectation is that when that use goes in, it stays there in perpetuity. That they don't generally go away. But if it did, when we reacquired the property at some point, then, if it is not used for utility, as Gina's explaining, we would have to meet the regular subdivision standards before it can be used for something else.
Okay.
And to clarify, to take that a step further, if they end up, the fiber optic business moves out and it ends up getting sold to somebody else, they can't change the use of that without reverting back to the regional commercial standards. And so whoever buys that lot, whether it is WPI or whether it is the commercial lot to the front, they would have to do a plat amendment to combine those two lots. Regardless if it stays in perpetuity with the utility company, or it switches hands and they decide to, say, my example, when Thomas and I were talking about what happens if it goes into a Scooters or, a coffee shop, they would still have to meet that minimum requirement in the regional commercial zone.
Okay, so let's say that were to happen and the fiber company goes defunct and the lot next to it has already been built on, then really the only possible buyer is the lot next to it to combine the two.
Right.
Yeah, or it's not used.
Or another utility company.
Yeah, or it just sits and waits for your utility company.
Right.
Right. So it could sit, if they took their systems out and no longer utilized it for the fiber optic booster, it could just be vacant and not developable.
Okay, got it, thank you. And then I had one more. I read in the Hales Engineering report on the traffic impact study, quite a few findings of poor level of service on traffic for 2024 and 2029. They had the mitigation of the light that they put in, and I had two questions around that. The first is, even with a light, that might make traffic worse even. Was there any consideration of asking for a roundabout on crossroads instead of a light?
I don't know if our standards allow for a roundabout to be a an arterial, a major arterial. That is a question for Scott.
Our transportation master plan calls for a traffic signal at the location. We generally wouldn't have a roundabout there, but it could be something that could be looked at, whether or not it would be feasible. It just, like the roundabout on Riverside and Pony, that one has dual lanes, so it is feasible that it could be done, but we'd have to look into speeds and stuff as well as that. So I don't have a good answer, but it's something that could be examined, I guess.
Okay, I mean, I don't want to do anything that would hold up this development based on that, but traffic's a problem, and so if that could be considered from a city perspective on roundabouts versus lights, it might be useful. But thank you for that answer. The second one I had is on the approval. So what we're approving tonight would be with the stipulation of the curb violator, or I don't know what you called it, but the curbing to prevent a left turn.
The median in
The median, thank you, the median. The findings I saw on poor level of service for traffic, particularly on crossroads, like almost immediately. Like if we were reapproving, I mean, I assume we're approving based on that stipulation, and then you'd have to go back and work on this afterwards?
Yeah, that would be adding a stipulation for the applicant to work with the city staff in order to not include that. If it was approved without the stipulation, it would be to include the median in there, which would prevent left turn, which is based off of traffic volumes. So, but it's something we can work with the applicant and discuss, bring it in front of the city engineer and have more in-depth traffic study to go through that. So,
And then would it come back for approval again once you've resolved that, or how would that work?
if it's in the, if it's voted.
Yeah, if it's a
would-
condition of approval or recommendation to approve, a positive recommendation to the city council, the city council will get that information. But if you want it to come back to you for reconsideration, you would need to table the item and have that worked out. It just slows down their timeline as far as getting things approved and moving.
Okay, so because the city council also still has to approve, I wouldn't want to do anything to slow that down, but
Right.
perhaps that would be, hopefully they can consider that at that time, and you guys
Yeah.
can talk ahead of.
Yeah, and planning commission, or sorry, city council gets the planning commission minutes, so they usually read through what your considerations are and what those stipulations are. And that will be included in their staff report, that as a condition of approval, staff should have met with the applicant to resolve the issue.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Kern, and it looks like we have Commissioner Hill.
Thank you. Thanks for the discussion on the private utility. That clears that up. Again, my understanding is this is a preliminary plat, so there's a lot of, you're just trying to kind of get a sense of what could happen, and thus that's why we've got 20 conditions and to be determined in parking, landscaping, drive-through, and the open spaces. So this is kind of the starting point. I mean, you put a lot of work into this, but this solidifies a little more to move forward. And I just wanted to make that a part of the record. As Commissioner Karn talked about in that traffic report, 7,568 trips per day. It's going to be busy in that area. Can we talk a little bit about the 3 deceleration lanes and how that's going to work? Because I think that will help us a little bit. Gina?
I apologize. I thought I put that in your packet. Let me pull it up so you can see that.
Okay?
Gina, I turned on the mic over there, so. Oh,
As I'm pulling it up, you can ask away. I apologize. I thought I had that put in there. Okay. I think it is. That's not the one. Okay. So we have, let me show you where that is. It was included in this set of plans. I just don't remember what page. I even had them give it to me so that I could include it in the report, so I do apologize. At least we have it.
Okay.
Should be towards the back on the signage and striping sheet.
Okay. So, sorry, I'm not used to Adobe. This is it right here. So you have, let's look at this here. Scroll into here. So the striping plan, so you have your acceleration lanes. I believe, did you have to do that on both intersections? Or was it just all three? Okay, so here you have these lanes right here. Can you see those? Maybe I need to get bigger. So here's at 400 West. You can see these here. So right here is your deceleration and acceleration lanes. And then going over here, you have them again here. At this light, you have the middle turn lanes, these turn lanes to the right on 1400 North. And then you have them, this is what was added, is these deceleration lanes, right?
Well, this one's not really showing the lanes, but there's sufficient space on the shoulder to accommodate the lane through striping. So we have received a sheet that does show the deceleration lane at all three intersections.
And that they would function the way we need those to function?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Are there, well, a couple of questions. Crossroad, is that a state road or is that a city road?
It is a city road.
It is a city road.
City
If you
road?
look on the map, it appears as a state road.
Okay.
But it was quitclaim deed, I believe, to the city.
Okay. So
Utah
we have-
County's just
We
slow.
have control over that, then we don't have to work through
Yeah.
UDOT, which gives us a little more flexibility. And it gives us more flexibility to talk about that lighting situation that was a concern then, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, just as I was reading through, congestion is a little bit of a concern because it's kind of it's a major arterial going through, and as we move forward with the downtown, it's going to be right on that. It could be one of the ways into the downtown, so more traffic's going to be there. But UDOT is doing a lot of things in that area to facilitate the heart of our city. And so that's why I was looking at a few of those traffic concerns as we move forward. We know there's a lot going to be happening over the next 10 to 15 years in that area. High density, so as I read into it, it's going to be townhouses and apartments.
A few apartments, but mostly townhomes.
Okay, that was a concern. We don't see too many apartments anymore. It's more townhouses, which to me, when they buy it, then there's a sense of ownership as compared to if it's an apartment, then you're at the beckoning call of the organization that owns that, and sometimes they go into disrepair quicker than owner occupied. Again, a lot of work on your part. Thank you. I think there's still some concerns about traffic. As I'd indicated, almost 7,500 trips per day in that area. But again, you've got to make it so it works for you residentially and commercially. It all has to come together. So thank you for your input, and Gina, thank you for the update. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Hill. Any other comments? Okay, I'm going to just make a couple of comments and ask a few questions on this. Can we go to the landscaping map?
So here's
one with
the
green.
overall landscaping. You can see all sections.
Sorry, the one that had the green on it on the concept plan in the package.
Oh, I don't have, that's not in there. It's not in my presentation, but I will pull it up. It's at the very end there. This one right here.
Keep going. Oh, yep, that one. Okay, so these lots on the outside, those are going to be commercial, right?
Correct.
So the residential is the
part in the middle.
part
Now, that's not the final layout. That's just a very overall concept.
okay. And then in between that middle part and the, what's that like other strip? More
This up here in the north?
No, come
Oh, down.
right there, where your mouse
Right
is.
here?
Yep.
Or right here, on the outside along Lake Drive, or in the middle where the trail is? So
Canal, the
the
canal.
canal,
So
right?
just to the left of the canal, that street right there, is that residential?
Yes.
Okay. And so,
So these are apartments. Now, this would be considered a parking lot. So have you been over to North Shore where, again, this is conceptual, but after speaking with the applicant and on the residential portion, because the apartments will have garages in them, and then you have garages over across this is going to be considered a parking lot, drive aisle. So that is treated differently. Now, you've got your single-family homes, but yeah, that is considered a parking lot drive aisle. Does that make sense?
yeah. How does this, I'm just really struggling with understanding how this all fits in with this code of I keep calling it feathering, and that's
Density transitioning.
yes.
Yes. So here you have single-family homes, right? Now, there will be a fence along here, along this big box store. There has to be a solid fence there. But when transitioning, going from single-family home to townhomes to apartments to commercial is what we look for. Going from lower density to medium density to high density is what we look for in transitioning densities. So that feathering, as you might have heard, that's what they have essentially done, except for maybe on this side over here. That's kind of a challenging one. It is a big box store. They are going to have truck traffic. So, yeah, I mean, there is a distance there. I don't know what the distance is. Again, this is conceptual. But when transitioning densities from low to high density to commercial, this is the type of transition we look for, essentially.
Except for
The east side.
the east side. So the east side really doesn't fit in with the city.
Well, we don't have any, I mean, we ask for a transition in densities. That's why we've set up our general plan and our zoning the way that we have. This is a unique piece in that it's multifamily. So they're trying to provide that within a multifamily zone. Would we prefer to have single-family homes? I mean, they listen to us. We would prefer single-family homes, right? But putting that right smack dab in the middle of a commercial development isn't necessarily ideal. And so I think with what they've done, I mean, obviously they would probably prefer to do a higher density. They asked for 18 units per acre at their rezone. The council said, no, we're going to give you 14, and that's what they're working with. But they also took to heart that we want a transition of densities to the commercial. It's a hard piece of property to fit that kind of commercial into.
And then what about for the back part of the property? How does that fit in with
So
your plans?
So future plans is down here to the south is the hospital. That is a planned community. It is obviously a medical campus. Right now, there is a site plan for a cancer center in between the emergency room and the surgery center. That is going to be a multi-specialty unit or building. Their next phase will be the hospital portion, which will be right here on this north side. And then they have another whole portion. Let me pull up the map. They have a whole nother portion to the east of that will give you that. So, sorry, my password's really long. It's best to get eyes on it.
Thank you. I appreciate you doing that too.
I just have to remember how to put this in. It's not going to be right. So I'm just going to pull it over. It might not let me. It won't give you property lines, but it will give you the map. So we're up here, Crossroads Boulevard. Let it catch up. So you have more medical campus that will be on the east side of the hospital. So with this, there is an access road that has to still remain there from Exchange Drive over. There's also a power line, transition line, or there's transmission lines that will remain there as well. And so there is an access that has to be maintained in that spot. Now, so there will be that. There will be quite a bit of space between the two as well. Let me just pull up this map again. So there is a road, not a road, but an access road that has to be in here. Now, there's different talks. Again, this is concept. And, whether to bring that over to the trail and up, or it's there to service the detention basin. And
There's a regional storm drain line that
Yeah.
runs along that
Thank you.
south boundary.
I knew there was another
Yeah,
reason.
so the road is being used as a service access for the detention pond for cleaning and maintaining, but it also runs all the way along there
Yeah.
as a service access for the regional storm drain.
Right. And I think that regional storm drain ends about right here. if I remember correctly. So they can either tap it into here or go to the trail. That's still up for design.
Okay. And then the detention pond area, I mean, I understand this is a concept plan, but that would be counting towards the open space for the residential, right?
No, for the commercial. So here on this landscaping, so basically, and I forgot that you did this. Again, it's something I asked for. This is similar to Plat F. If you remember correctly, on the site plans for Plat F, each one of those lots got a chunk of the detention basin there behind Home Depot. This is going to be similar for that. So required landscaping for each lot, they've slated here, so 20% of each lot size. And then for the preliminary plat, this is, what what they're providing. So they've kind of chunked it out, right? You've done the same thing
Most
for
of
that,
the lots meet the 20% without it, but there are a couple
that will need it. Some of these smaller lots will need that extra help meeting their 20%. And so that detention basin will be basically divided out to those lots that need it. Same thing happened in Plat F. There were certain lots that could have the 20% without needing help from the detention basin, but that is what they're doing.
And there's no requirement about how far the open space is from actual lot or?
No.
And is that only in commercial or does that apply also to residential?
I don't think because we've allowed off-site open space credits. So Brixton Park, Canton Ridge is a good example of that. The trail along Mountain View corridor, we allowed them to have, so they developed that in certain phases, but we allowed them to use those open space numbers as part of their open space. So it's not in relation necessarily to each lot, but it is a requirement to have a certain percentage of landscaping. Remember to keep that different. You can see by the green in the multifamily lot that they'll meet their 15% pretty easily just with a trail. But they also have this open space, between the buildings and along the frontages. That can all be counted towards open space, towards their 15% requirement. They will also have to meet, the equivalent acres and so forth. We have a whole worksheet for that for residential. Now for commercial, again, it is just landscaping, and that's a 20% requirement. Okay. And I think they've mapped it out pretty well. I mean, they have a really good idea of how these sites are going to sit. So, they've usually done a really good job. I mean, they did a good job mapping that out for Plat F, as with other subdivisions that they've done.
Yeah. So I do want to just bring note of Dalmore Meadows. It sounds like this is a situation where we could end up with a really similar kind of setup where we have some residential and then we have some medical, and then they're kind of landlocked in by some other commercial areas. And the number of accidents and very serious accidents turning left there, and the issues that we had were pretty serious. So I want to strongly just strongly bring that up in this, that this is a city that is experiencing substantial growth and has a pretty severe traffic issue, and that we have already seen our residents be negatively affected by not having good traffic patterns and not protecting left turn lanes, and that has severely affected some of our residents' lives. So I want to just make a public note on that, I guess, that I am strongly encouraging the engineering and the city to work with the developer to make sure that our residents aren't put in that same situation again. With that said, I think that's all of my questions myself. It looks like we do have, Ken had some comments.
And this is going back just a little bit about the comment of density transitioning or feathering that is not necessarily a requirement of code, but it is a strong recommendation. Have both in code and relates to policies of the general plan. So we do that where we can and how we can. So each property may be more successful than another in a perfect transitioning, but a perfect transitioning is in many instances difficult to achieve. So we do the best we can with that.
Ken, as the community director and community development director, how do you feel about having these pocket neighborhoods or these silo neighborhoods surrounded by commercial? Do you have any good examples of these in other cities that we can look at?
Yeah, so if you're looking at mixed zoning or mixed development, there are a lot of cities that are going that direction to have especially a higher density residential close to commercial. It is a successful venture in a lot of instances. So I would say if you're looking at single family there in the middle between a big box and other smaller commercial, no, that's not a good combination. But a lot of times this type of higher density mixed with commercial is a good way to go.
Okay, thank you. And it looks like we have some comment from Commissioner Karn.
Yeah, thank you. I just had one more follow-up. Is it Thomas?
That's me.
That's you.
Richard.
Richard. My primary concern is the traffic issues, that they get addressed in that, but I don't want to scare away development because that's great for the city. And so I just have a follow-up question for you. You've got a light on, what'd you call it, Market Street?
Exchange is north-south to the west side of Home Depot, and then Crossroads, right? So are you talking about the interior street, Lake Drive?
Yeah, you're putting in a light as, I might think.
A light on Crossroads and
14.
Which is the extension of that roundabout up to the road. There's a light at
Yeah.
that intersection,
Yeah,
there's already a
there'll
light
be a
at
light
Crossroads.
here.
So if you have a light there, why will it kill your primary tenant to not have, to have a median?
Well, the primary access they think serves their property is the one directly north to Crossroads.
400 West.
To 400 West. And so, again, the whole plan has been developed all through the last year of discussions with the left in, left out at that point. Like I said, this is news to us tonight, that there's a requirement or a request that there not be a left in and out there. It's just their business models suggest that they need direct access to their property in order to get the customers to them without going past other retail businesses and other locations, making it harder, less direct access.
Yeah, customers moving from either direction, basically. Because they will be able to get there from the one direction. But.
Well, you can get there from east or west, but it's like Home Depot. If they didn't have the light at Exchange, giving people a left access to come into the site wouldn't have met their design standards for the store. They also required the light at Redwood Road at Commerce, right? So in Home Depot's case, they required lights at both accesses that line up with the front of their store going east and west or north and south to Crossroads. So these access issues are really important to the retailers, and their models are built on those, and they want direct access for convenience so people get in and out without having to deal with other traffic problems or be caught up in other traffic motions, right? So we just need to sort out what the concern is and whether it meets the standards or not, and get the traffic engineers back involved in evaluating the issues.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. With that said, any other comments from commissioners? I will go ahead and now entertain a motion. Sorry, Commissioner Miles, did you want to make a comment?
Just one last thing. I thought you brought up a really good point with Dalmore Meadows. And that has been a really big issue and problem. And so I would also encourage, just as we look at this, to see if we can avoid that situation where it's just stuck and a lot of the wrecks and a lot of the safety concerns. So thank you.
Thank you for that comment. Commissioner Mancom, did you have a comment or did you want to make a motion? Awesome. We'll go ahead and let you do that.
Thank you so much. All right, I'll go ahead and make a motion for approval on the preliminary plat, Saratoga Springs, Commercial Plat G, with the applicant as Utah Valley Turf Farms, located at the northeast of Pioneer Crossings and Crossroads Boulevard, with the findings and conditions that are listed in the report, and also adding a condition that the staff maintain the city code best and work with the applicant to resolve the left turn median issue. Thank you.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Mangum. Do we have a second?
Second.
Great. We have a second from Commissioner Hill. Any questions on the motion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you. Thank you for your consideration. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Sounds like that passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay. Yay. All right, moving on to our next business item, approval of the minutes for January 9th, 2025. And I will, I open that up for a motion.
I move that we accept the minutes of the January 9th, 2025 meeting.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hill. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second from Commissioner Karn, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes. Okay, that ends our business items, and we'll go ahead and move on to reports. Do we have any commissioner comments? Commissioner Hill?
I just wanted to remind everyone, Sarah sent out a reminder that the American Planning Association, the Utah chapter, is endeavoring to bring all of the planning commissioners together on a monthly basis. Right now, we're looking at Monday at noon, so we thought that we would try to do that during lunch. So it's kind of a brown bag, but it's all virtual, so you don't have to go anywhere. And the intent is February 3rd is going to be our first meeting, is just to come and network, and we're going to put the agenda together. Some of the things that we've been talking about is to have a Planning Commissioner 101 so that you can pick up an hour of training. We're going to look at Rob Terry from the Governor's Ombudsman's Office. It's going to talk to us a little about the resources that we can go to. So again, I don't know that that's going to fit everyone's schedule, but know that the first Monday at 12 o'clock, that's available. And if you have a desire to learn more and get to network around the state, it'd be a fun thing to do.
And is this for just Saratoga Springs commissioners?
This is for the whole state of Utah.
Okay.
So, we've sent invitations out to, I think, 150 commissioners individually, so.
Are you chairing this? Are you like?
I'm on their board, and I'm over the volunteer liaison for the whole state. So I'm trying to bring, we cluster as cities, and we want to break that out. As I've told you, the spring and fall conference, the spring conference is going to be in Logan, and the spring conference is in Logan, the fall conference will be in Salt Lake. And if you wanted to just go to Friday, because that's the one where we have a track for planning commissioners, and the city will pay for that. And you just come, and Doug, you've been, and we've just had a great time. But it's a great networking, a great learning, and you can make some friendships out there too.
Great, that's great, thank you.
Has that information already been sent out? where to register and
Yeah,
the spring training?
It was set Monday, I think.
yeah, Sarah sent out and just go right in and it'll be Zoom. And if you need anything, just talk to Sarah and we can get that to you.
Now that's the Monday virtual meeting, right?
Yeah, the virtual meeting on Monday. It's going to be called Planners Chat or something like that.
And the spring training in Logan, has that been sent out yet? Any of
That has not been sent out yet. We're still putting that whole thing together. But again, that'll be a fun one. And it's usually a Thursday and a Friday. But again, if you want to specialize, we have a whole day of track for planning commissioners. And if you go there, you take care of all of your training for the whole year, just by being there.
And did you say the virtual session will satisfy an hour of training?
Some of those,
Some of them.
if we bring content that you want. Right now, it's not, but
Okay.
it will when we go over, Planning Commissioners 101, which is one of the sessions we do at the conference and those types of things.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's awesome. Thanks for putting so much effort into that.
Oh, it's a
Great
lot
to
of
have
fun.
you on our board and be able to be so connected with our state as a whole. Thank you. All right, and then we'll move on to director's reports. Ken?
Yes, I just wanted to review for you what happened at the last city council meeting. Sarah normally gives a report on that. So just for your information, you may already know or have been or have watched, but there were three things that are items that we have addressed or looked at here in the past that went forward to city council. One of them was just in relation to public comments. It was at the previous city council meeting where Redwood Square, the commercial operation on Redwood there, what is that cross street? Trying to remember. Anyway. Yes, Aspen Hills, just north of here, a few blocks. The neighborhood just to the west of that, Western Hills Avenue, there were some neighbors that are concerned about the site plan that was approved for access from the commercial development to go through their neighborhood, one of the accesses. So they showed up en masse at the previous city council, but also a few of them were here still saying, hey, we need to do something about this. And so a meeting has been set with a couple of the city council people to look at that and look at some options for going through other commercial developments to the north and south. So that's something that's being worked on. One of the items that Gina was involved with was a request to change the name of Buckhorn Bath Avenue, which is in the Wander development. There was some concerns that it was a difficult name, especially trying to tell the emergency services, where that's at, Buckhorn Bath Avenue. One gentleman mentioned that they had to repeat that name a few times, and anyway, so the request has come forward to change the name of that road, but that does affect several families and their addresses, and so there's issues with that. But staff is directed to go back and work with the neighborhood, survey them a little bit more, find out just how many people are in favor of it and who might not be, and come back to the city council with some more information on that. Then also, the school district annexation plat was approved subject to a development agreement being approved or agreed upon both parties, and that was agreed upon. Most of the issue was about the density that is involved in that district area plan, and that this new annexation area acreage would not increase the overall density of that development, but it would just add to more, so it actually lessens the overall development density. So that was approved, but those are the items that were at city council last meeting.
Okay, thank you. I think I saw something about a joint meeting.
City council.
Yes, and that is February.
So
Go ahead.
we've got 2 joint meetings for you. So you should have received an invitation for, I think they've been sent out. Maybe they haven't. So
City
February.
council has.
For city council over the joint meeting, we've got 2 joint meetings with city council. You have February 11th, and this is with the Larry H. Miller Group, and then on the Sitla property, and then February 18th, which is land use training and effective meetings. So both of those are joint sessions with the city council.
What is the purpose of the meeting on the 11th?
On the 11th, Larry H. Miller has actually, they're the developing entity for that Sitla property.
I went to their open meeting.
Okay, so they're asking to have a work session with Planning Commission and City Council to discuss their project. So that's the intent of that. So in regards to these invitations, these calendar invitations that you're receiving, we ask, especially for the ones with the city council or with the planning commission, we ask that you, if you're going to be here, accept the invitation. If you're not going to be here, decline the invitation. This allows us to know if there's going to be a quorum or not. Then we don't have to run you down to find out if you're going to be here. So please, when you get those calendar invites, accept or deny according to your schedule, so that we know as staff. I mean, Wendy's been great. She runs around and chases everybody and keeps all of us straight. So, but yeah, if you can make sure that you accept or deny those.
Has the one on the 18th been sent out?
I don't think so.
that has.
I
The
don't think so.
11th
The one
is.
on the 11th has,
Not
right?
the 11th.
Yeah, so either accept or deny that so that we know if you will be in attendance.
And just it's from 6 to 9 at the public safety building.
Correct. Any questions on those?
No.
We appreciate
Oh,
everything
sorry,
that
do
you
we does planning commission need its own quorum for that meeting, or do we, like,
It's a work session. I don't think a quorum is necessary.
okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, that makes sense. Sorry. Don't put that in the meeting minutes, please don't.
Hey, it's a good question.
Okay. Any other director reports we need to cover? Oh, attorney, you were best in.
Oh yeah, I was the only one that didn't get to talk tonight. For those that don't know, the public safety building is just over at the police station. It's the room in between the courthouse and the police department. So don't show up here, there'll be nobody here on those days. And then our next meeting for you guys is the 13th, so you'll get 2 that week.
And when we go in for that, do we have to go through the metal detectors?
No, there's a separate door. So there's the courthouse door that's to the west, then there's the police door, then there's another door that's east facing right outside of the police door, and you just walk straight into that room.
Okay, okay, perfect, okay. Do we need to go into a closed session? Nope, perfect. Then we will go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Thank you, everyone.